So today we're going to be focusing on a number of different areas. The first being bridging the gap between ServiceNow and facilities. One of the challenges that we've seen is siloed departments, IT, HR, and facilities. And being able to consolidate all of these departments onto one platform using different applications allows organizations to better collaborate and to be more efficient in their day-to-day processes. We'll be focusing on the end user experience, how you can use one portal for all end user requests, having a single system of record and source of truth for things like location hierarchies and user and Active Directory information. And as I mentioned, increasing collaboration to make sure that everyone's more efficient in their day-to-day jobs. So when we first think about having all of these departments using one platform, here you can see how Nuvolo is built on that platform. Nuvolo is what's considered an integrated workplace management systems application, and we'll come on to that later on in the presentation. But ultimately, what Nuvolo has done is built our application directly on the ServiceNow platform. We also deploy our application on your existing ServiceNow instance. We use the same developer tools when we first developed our application, and also utilize the core functionality that exists within ServiceNow. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, but that includes things like the service portal, a knowledge base, the flexibility and configurability of the application. And also, as I mentioned, we deploy on the ServiceNow instance as well, which means that all of your data would reside in your existing ServiceNow data center. And also, which of course you can take advantage of the scalability, the security, and the flexibility. When we think about what Nuvolo offers, it really falls into 5 different categories. Those include maintenance management, which includes the ability to manage facilities requests, facilities equipment, schedule maintenance, and also your third-party contractors. We also have a mobile application which technicians can use to complete their work at the point of service. Space and Move includes the ability to manage space utilization, to know exactly where people are located, and also to be able to coordinate those moves as people come on board and off board. We also include the ability to do space reservations. So for example, if an employee is looking for a desk or a conference room, they have the ability to reference directly from the portal to know which spaces are available, which they can then book. Capital program and project management includes the ability to manage large-scale renovation and facilities projects, to understand things like budgets and timelines, to be able to stay on track and complete the project on time. Real estate and lease management includes the ability to digitalize all of your leases, to know, first of all, which leases you have, when they expire, when they become active, and then also all of the financials associated to that. So that includes things like lease payments, maintenance costs, insurance, but also this is where you can start to bring in all of this other information to know exactly, for example, how are you utilizing the space that you have occupied, what type of work is being performed, or perhaps what projects are currently active. And lastly, sustainability, which includes the ability to manage all of your energy, consumption, and cost. So this is where you can start to track this information to understand where you are at with your green initiatives. And at this point, we're going to go ahead to hop into the application, and I can show you how, as an organization, you can bridge the gap between ServiceNow and Nuvolo. So IT, HR, your risk and compliance team can be on the same platform as also the facilities team. So let's cover off the first use case of a single end user experience for all requests that are being made within the organization. What you're looking at here is a self-service portal. And as you know, Nuvolo and therefore ServiceNow is very, very configurable, which means that this can be very easily configured and tailored to your specific needs. But here's an example of what a self-service portal can look like. You can see I'm a logged in user. And as a logged in user, I can make requests. Likely you're already making requests from a self-service portal for IT, things like networks down or computers broken, HR requests, such as onboarding and offboarding, or perhaps submitting different documentation required for being an employee, and facilities management. So when you think about examples of facilities management, these include things like safety issue, carpet needs to be cleaned, rooms too hot, rooms too cold, but also the ability to do things like reserve a space. So for example, as an employee, I can say, I need a conference room or I need a desk for a period of time. They can say, for example, where they're located, what type of space they may need and when they need it. And at the point of then searching for that space, they'll be presented with the options. You'll also find the ability to request a move. So going from one place to another, one desk to another desk. These are just examples of the common facilities type requests that end users can submit with Nuvolo. When we continue along the theme of bridging the gap between ServiceNow and facilities, you'll see in here, for an example, I'm in the application, in the browser. And in this scenario, I would be a dispatcher receiving an incoming facilities work order. As I'm receiving that work order, if, for example, I identify that this is actually not a responsibility of facilities, perhaps this is an IT responsibility, maybe it's managing things like the projector in the conference room. As a dispatcher using Nuvolo, I can very easily go ahead to generate an IT incident directly from this work order. What this does is it goes and creates a task or an incident within ITSM. So that way they can collaborate. And also, for example, maybe they have both need to do a task associated to this, but they can collaborate back and forth, messaging, for example, saying, hey, can you take a look at this? Would this be, who should I assign this to? The messaging capability is actually core to ServiceNow, but using this one platform, you can collaborate across the organization to be able to communicate with different individuals. So for example, I can say, hey, Andrew, can you take a look at this? Perhaps Andrew's in IT, perhaps he's in HR, but you can collaborate exactly for those different use cases. And then also the ability to collaborate with the HR department for onboarding and offboarding. It's likely if you have the ServiceNow HR application, you already have a portal in place for onboarding and offboarding requests. Here, for example, we already have pulled up the ServiceNow HR portal. This gives the ability for hiring managers to request for a new hire start date. And as I go to initiate this, this is where also Nuvolo can come in to support the facilities team. So when this request is made, it'll then automatically generate all of those types of HR requests, which you're already doing today. But in the background, what it will also create is a work order or a task that's then assigned to the hiring manager to select a workspace. This is Nuvolo functionality, allowing a hiring manager to say, for example, this is where my team is located, and this is where I want this individual to sit. You can see the ability to select a workspace. And once again, I'm a hiring manager, I have a new hire started, and this gives me the ability to go ahead to pick from the floor plan a specific space of where I want this new hire to be located. This is once again in line with the collaboration between IT, HR, facilities, and I can see, for example, on this floor plan, where people are located. I can see availability, and then I can select the space of where I want this individual to sit, and then I can submit that request. As an organization, you can also utilize things like workflow to make sure that the right approvals are in place. Perhaps workspace planning needs to approve this before it's actually committed. But this is just an example of how you can increase the collaboration and bridge the gap between your different departments and reduce the silo between those.